Hello my friends, in this new video we are going to talk about the math methods. As you can guess with the name, those math methods are helpers to do mathematical operations. If you refresh the page, you are going to see that we have a new concept in our list. The first one is indeed the math methods. The second one is seal, that is one of the math methods, and also floor and max, that are another's of the math methods. Also, we have a link to the documentation. If you click it, you're going to be redirected to the mozilla.org documentation for math. Then, in the left side, as always, we have a section for methods, and here you can find all the methods you can use with math. But for this example, we're going to use those three. Okay, now if we go to our code, we are going to find that we have exactly the same code that we use in the video number 6, but with the difference that the Bitcoin amount has now the value of 3.5 and the Bitcoin value has now the value of 45,000.5. So now let's say that we have all those values sent from our users and we are not able to modify those variables. So we have to create new variables in order to modify these values. Okay, what we can do is to create the new variable and say Bitcoin amount formatted equals to Bitcoin amount. Now we are going to see that Bitcoin amount formatted has exactly the same value as the other variable. Let's create a console log. We create a string, put the name of the variable, and then comma and the variable. And if we refresh our page, we are going to see the value of the new variable. But now what we want to do with this variable is to remove the decimal portion, but always we wanted to always round it to the floor. For that, we have the math method floor. In order to invoke this method, we are going to do it the next way. We call math, and then we invoke the method. And if we refresh our page, we're going to see that the Bitcoin amount has been rounded to the floor, and always is going to be rounded to the floor. If we put 3.1, it's going to be rounded to the floor, and if we put 3.9, still is rounded to the floor. It's always going to be rounded to the minimum value. Okay, now let's say that this time we want to round also to an integer, but this time to the seal. For that, as you can guess, we are going to use the seal method. Now, we are going to implement it exactly in the same way that we did with the floor. For that, we create a new variable. Remember that we are assuming that we can't modify the variables that we have here. That's why we need to create new variables. Bitcoin value formatted equals to, let's put the variable Bitcoin value, and also let's create the console log. We copy the variable, we put it inside of a string, and then just the variable. Now, if we refresh our page, we're going to see the value for Bitcoin value. But what we want is to round it to the seal, right? So in order to do that, we are going to invoke this method in the same way that we did with the math floor. For that, we invoke math, and then we invoke the method. And inside of the parentheses, the variable that we want to modify its value. Okay, now if we refresh our page, we are going to see that it has been rounded to the 0. Now, if you also put 0.1 decimals, you are going to see that you have exactly the same result. And if you put 0.9 the decimals, you are going to see exactly the same result, because it's always going to be rounded to the 0. Now, let's say that we want to know exactly the largest amount of cryptocurrencies that we have, but just of one type. Let's say if we have 20 Doge amounts and we have 3.9 Bitcoins, we always want to know the largest amount. In this case, it's going to be always the Doge amount. But for that, we have another method that can help us in that case. That is the max. Okay, now let's try to implement it. Let's create a new variable that is going to be called and it's going to be equals to math, and then invoke the max method, and inside of the max method we are going to pass the Bitcoin amount as a first value, and then a comma, and the Doge amount as the second value. It can be in any order. You can put the Doge amount at the first value and then the Bitcoin amount at the second value. It doesn't change the result. That is going to compare which one of those two is the largest. Okay, now let's print this variable. For that, we are going to create a new console log, and then we create a string template, and let's write now we create a placeholder, and inside of the placeholder we are going to put the variable that is going to have the value of this operation. Now we put it here inside of the placeholder, and then we refresh our page, and we are going to see the result of that variable, of that operation. That is, the largest amount of one type of cryptos that I have is 20. Now, if I want to know the minimum value, for that I just have to change the method here. And then we refresh our page, and now we can see that we have the minimum value. But as we say in our text, we want the largest one, so for that we are going to use max. Now we refresh again, and then we have the right value. Okay, that's it for this video. Please, if you have any questions, put it in the comment section. And remember that we have a link to the source code of this exercise, so you can download it and do your own exercise with it. Thank you.